Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Death Domain Cleric multi-class with the SPORE Druid in Baldur's Gate 3. This was a requested patch 8 build guide. I'll be taking you through the full leveling, combat, and as well equipment. Now, we'll be starting off with the Death Domain Cleric because they get a really good start with the Reaper ability to apply cantrips to 2 targets, which means you can apply your Toll the Dead to 2 targets. This is a huge buff from prior to patch 8 because Dexterity save on Sacred Flame is not likely to hit goblins. That's why all the memes about Shadowheart never hitting our attacks. But we'll go with Toll the Dead, Sacred Flame, and Guidance. This is a very powerful ability to have. And for the subclass cantrip, grab Bone Chill. And for the ability score, we're going to go with 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. You can swap Constitution with Dex, but I think higher Dex works here. Level 2 gives us our Touch of the Death, which we can actually apply onto our Inflict Wounds spell, which is actually pretty strong. Now, for cantrips or spells, I'd recommend having Command. This is really good to stop enemies from hitting you, and you basically can end their turn. We get Sanctuary, which can protect a teammate. I also like to have Inflict Wounds, and if you have a teammate that has any type of cold or lightning spells, Create Water will double the damage for them. Otherwise, Guiding Bolt can work well, or Bless. I like to have Bless too, but you can also get Bless from a ring early in Act 1. Level 2 gives us the Blindness and Ray of Enfeeblement spells, but we care a little bit more about Hold Person. And you can also add in the Spiritual Weapon spell. Using the Maul can set up disadvantage on the save for Hold Person, so we're much more likely to land that. So we'll roll with that list of spells there. Level 4 gives us our next cantrip. We can grab Bursting Sinew here because that can be applied to 2 targets at once. And for our next leveled spell, Aid is really good. And for the feat, I'd recommend grabbing either an ability score improvement or Wisdom because we get 2 feats with our stat spread, or the Alert feat, which gives a +5 to Initiative, which is highly valuable, and we want that. Level 5 gives us our Destroy Undead, and we also get the Animate Dead and Vampiric Touch, although we get a better version of this a little bit later on. And we get one of the best spells in the game with Spirit Guardians. This is huge because we can do necrotic damage and ignore resistances a little bit later on. So that's good in a few acts, or a few areas where radiant damage isn't that good. We also can grab Mass Healing Word there, which is a great spell to have, and we'll roll with that. And then for our final level in the Cleric, we get our Inescapable Destruction, ignoring resistances to necrotic damage, which means we can use the necrotic Spirit Guardians. We can also grab Glyph of Warding, which we can pop at our feet. If you're using a half-elf like Shadowheart here, or a full elf, you can use the Sleep Glyph to put a bunch of enemies to sleep, and it won't even impact you because you can't go to sleep yourself. So it makes for a great area of effect sleep. Now, I'd recommend, actually, at this point, to mix in the Druid at this point. They both share Wisdom as a stat, so that's perfect. We can then also grab Shillelagh, which is actually a really good early game damage option, and Thorn Whip. And for the prepared spells, this is where we can actually replace some of the spells. So we can grab like Healing Word here, Thunder Wave, we got Create Water, Long Strider, and Ice Knife. If we're Silence, we can cast that as well. Fog Cloud being another good spell that you could potentially take. Into level 2 here, we get to take our subclass with the Circle of Spores. I like the Circle of Stars, but we're going with Spore this time around. This gives us Halo of Spores as a reaction to deal a little extra necrotic damage, and our symbiotic entity form, which gives us additional necrotic damage whenever we attack, and we can cast Halo of Spores, which gives double damage, then 1d8 instead. We also get Bone Chill, I guess, again. Not really anything we can do about that. And we'll roll with the stats, or we'll go with items or spells selection of something like this here. And you can also put in, I guess, Speak with Animals if you wanted that, or Fairy Fires. That's another really good spell to have. As, yeah, you can go with a few different options. Level 3 gives us some more fun choices. We get level 2 spells with some very good crowd control spells like Spike Growth. We also have Hold Person, which we already have. Hasp with a Trace can boost up one of your teammates, giving them a +10 to stealth checks, which is huge. And Moonbeam can be kind of cheese with a little bit of that Sanctuary action. Level 4 gives us our level 5 spells here. And then we also get to prepare another spell. Really your choice here. Pass with a Trace is a nice buff. And then we're going to go with an increase to our Wisdom for an improved spellcasting experience here. And into level 5 of the Druid, we get our Wild Strike extra attack, another Animate Dead spell, and then we get access to some really good spells here that we didn't have previously with Plant Growth, Sleet Storm, and you can go with Call Lightning if you want to, but I would actually prefer using Scrolls for some of our more damaging options. And level 6 gives us the Owlbear form, which actually gives us a lot of survivability. And we also get the Fungal Infestation reaction, which lets us raise zombies, which can raise more zombies, which is really good. So we'll take, basically we have every single possible level 3 spell there. You can go back to the Cleric and rearrange your spells a bit too. Now if we want to maximize our survivability, we can get 26 armor class here, which is actually pretty good. We're going to use the Circle of Bones helmet. This will give your allied undead within 6 meters resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. If we had planar ally, we could actually use it on the Cambion as well. We also get the Cloak of Protection here, giving us increased armor class, Armor of Agility, which is a really good choice, just giving us 26 AC. Although we also have a specific gear piece here that actually works very well, with the armor of the Spore Keeper. This gives us a much lower armor class. This will reduce it by 4, which is actually pretty substantial, putting armor class to 22. But we can cast haste spores to give our entire team haste. This is extremely valuable. Depends on the role you need to fill in your team. If you want to be more tanky, use the armor of agility. If you want to be a support caster, armor of Spore Keeper. 2 great choices there. Now, the Reviving Hands is a good choice because you can give Blade Ward when you heal a target, and we have an area effect heal that we could use. But we could also, if you want to, we could build around Radiating Orbs a little bit, with the Luminous Gloves being a good choice, or even the Reverberation Gloves of the Blagrant Skies. Just depends if you're going to want to use your Radiant or Necrotic damage. It's entirely up to you on that. I think the best choice is to use your Necrotic damage, or the Radiant damage with these, but Necrotic is good too. Depends if you want to be more support or healing focused. I'm going to go with the Luminous Gloves here though. And also the Evasive Shoes increase your armor class. I have the Crypt Lord Ring. It just makes sense to get a level 6 Create Undead spell. You could also go with the Coruscation Ring, because this will actually allow us to apply further Radiating Orbs, which I think is a good role for a Cleric. Because anytime you apply Radiating Orbs, it's effectively raising your entire team's armor class against that enemy, which is huge. The Sacred Star is another good item to give yourself the ability to create Radiating Orbs. However, we could actually use the Staff of Cherished Necromancy here, because there's a kind of cool interaction. Inflict Wounds, we can actually keep casting this and getting our spell casting back. Now, this gives disadvantage on saving throws as well, which is actually really good. So this can actually pair well because you get the Life Essence. If we had a higher level spell slot, it would be great. Like if you had even Blade to give you that back as well. And my personal favorite is Marka Heshker. This doesn't really fit thematically here, but it's one of the best actually. And we are a full spellcaster, so we could take the Bolts of Doom here, adding extra lightning damage to everything that we do. And with that, you can then actually swap with the Luminous Gloves for the Gloves of the Blagrant Skies, because then this will apply Radiant damage, Lightning damage, and Thunder damage. Gives Reverberation, which is huge. So we'll still apply Radiating Orbs and Reverberation with both of these items. And then also have the Hellrider Longbow for +3 to initiative, and the Viconia's Walking Forge Shield. If you know you're going to get into a fight, it's smart to actually precast the Spirit Guardians, and you can go with the Necrotic one if you prefer, and you can actually upcast this. Now, level 4 spell slots work well, because this will give you an extra D8 die. Or you can even go with level 5, but you only have level 2, level 5 spell slots, so it's entirely up to you. Precasting that, and then also precasting your Symbiotic Entity is a good choice, because this will give you your extra temporary health. So 24 extra temporary health, extra damage, and we got a lot of other good things here. Now, as for our first turn of combat, we want to try and get as many debuffs on the enemy. We have Force Extra Reverberation already on that enemy, which is perfect. And the funny thing is, we're going to actually get lightning charges pretty quickly. So we applied Spirit Guardians damage on them, which is great. We can then go ahead with like a Chain Lightning to a target. Because we got that from the staff. It's really just from the staff though. Ideally, our early game damage is going to be Inflict Wounds with the Touch of Death. It's not going to be high damage, but it's something because we get the extra additional necrotic damage on there. So what that would look like if we used Inflict Wounds, so we can go ahead with like an upcasted version of it, especially if there's a target that has a bit more health like this one here. So we go with that, and boom. We also took them out with a critical hit, so then we can use the Fungal Infestation, so reaction then raise the Mildewed Zombie, which will then attack targets and raise more zombies themselves, which is perfect. I think at this point it's good to go with whatever you can to stack Reverberation. That has 4 stacks. We could knock it prone here, so I guess going with any type of lightning space spell is going to be good. I guess we could just drop the Chain Lightning because I want to get rid of this Spellcaster right here, and that was enough to take out a few, and also apply Radiating Orbs on the enemies. And then we could go with a healing spell if we want to buff up our team, or Spiritual Weapon Maul, which can then also create the Daze condition, which gives the target disadvantage on the Wisdom saves, so we can land Hold Person. You can then also use your reaction if you wanted to on the shield spell, although this will eat up your reaction for the next turn. And yeah, we'll just eat that attack because we don't really want to use up a reaction right then and there. So I actually was able to get a Reverberation off on that enemy, and they dropped prone and took lightning damage from our lightning charges. That's why Marka Heshker is so good, because sometimes you can get a lot of extra damage off. And they shoved the reverberating teammate and ended up taking damage, which is pretty funny. And then our zombie, which has its slam attack, which can give the crawling gnaw, which can then actually raise another zombie. So yeah, they don't hit often, but there's something. And then we have our spiritual weapon here, which is really good because you can use it to actually apply the Daze condition. They saved on it, which is unfortunate, but it's there. And this target is so close to dying. If I had radiating, or they are dazed, so we could use Hold Person on them, but that'd be kind of a waste. That was an easy KO just to run by that prone target that got shoved by the teammate. Now we got lucky and all of them are grouped up here, so then we got actually a really easy time just applying our damage riders and getting that extra Spirit Guardians applied. Now, since we're in a really good position, you can actually do something really funny. If there's no, these are all humans, so this works out well, a dwarf and a human. You can actually then go Glyph of Warding and then put the sleep one here right at your feet. And then you can sometimes get really lucky and put everybody to sleep, which is hilarious. There was a couple saves on it, but those are 2 targets that are now no longer in the fight. This is not a most optimal way to do this, but You can then go with like a Toll the Dead on a couple targets here, or even just, I wouldn't recommend waking them back up, but yeah, you could even go with like a lightning bolt here if there's multiple targets that you could hit, and that just gives you the extra little bit of damage. It's nice. Unfortunately, it woke them up, but it applied radiating orbs on a multitude of targets, so that's not too bad. And then you could even just go with the old mass healing word to try and buff up your team or keep them alive there. I guess we don't have the bless ring there, but that's fine. We have the enemies all grouped up here in perfect condition because then we can run by. I took out 2 of them. If you have the Illithid ability, Call the Weak, this can actually shred through enemies. I don't have it on Shadowheart here, but I was able to take out 5 of them just by walking by them. Crazy, crazy damage. Now, the next thing we want to do is we don't have many damage options. We got like, I guess Moonbeam, but that will eat up our concentration. So things like Glyph of Warding really best choice. It's kind of like a short range fireball because it does similar damage to it. However, we also have Toll the Dead, which is really nice. So we can go ahead there with targeting 2 targets. They both saved on it. I don't know how, but yeah, that happens. And I guess we'll just go run it back one more time, try that again and see if that works. Boom, we actually took out 1 target, great. And then we'll just sit there. And anytime that you can, it's ideal to get in and actually just touch them with the Spirit Guardians there, because that'll actually sometimes break their concentration. The lightning charges are really good on this. That's why I like Marka Heshker. But then you can also use it for a free cast, and then you can upcast a level 6 inflict wounds, which will likely... Oh, I used it on the wrong target. Nice. Our fungal zombie actually got a little closer there, so we can try to attack this target here. We actually got the crawling gnaw off on it. That's perfect. And then we also have our other summon here, which can then attack as well. Critical miss, of course. It's typical, par for the course. And I guess we'll use this, another upcasted one of these here and hope for the best. Boom, radiating orbs, touch of death, 3 health left. That'll finish it off. Boom. And the nice thing about that is it should raise another zombie. It didn't, but yeah, it should raise another fungal zombie. So there is a powerful Death Domain Spore Druid multiclass in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.